Hello, my learned friends. We are back with more of the great Ace Attorney. The Memoirs of the Club... I still can't pronounce it. But yes, I believe this is the final trial. If I am not mistaken. Last time... I don't remember, actually. I'm gonna get a recap, because I don't remember. But, yeah, lots happened. My best friend's dead, and I'm still really sad about it. Other than that, though, yeah. Joyful, jubilant, jumping jacks!
Oh, Mr. Natsume, I'm so pleased for you.
Locum student Norado Esquire, and non-locum judicial assistant Miss Mikatoba Esquiress. Now, finally, at long last, there can be proof. Proof that I'm innocent and proof that my tea is innocent. Oh yes, William Shamspeare is up to no good. And also we just accused the victim of the last case of killing him. Or trying to kill him. Ah, good morning, my dear fellows. Ah, Herlock Shams! May your drink, your TBT, fall forever silent. I thought the tea was innocent.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you came. How wonderful.
Please, save your derision. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says, when it's very nearly time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across your faces. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. As sleep seduced me last night, I thought, tomorrow, for once, I shall not oversleep. I shall rise early and be present in court to support my companions. But that didn't happen, I see. Sorry, I saw his gloves, and I'm like, wait. I feel so empty. That's better. Much better. Such spirited determination has a beauty all of its own, does it not?
Oh, yes.
And then I began to muse on the subject. Why do people oversleep, I queried. Why? Time after time do they make the same foolish blunder? And the answer came to me at once. It's so delightfully simple. People oversleep. Because they sleep. Well, is that not an astute insight into the matter?
Oh, yes.
Upon which realization, I attempted an experiment. I didn't sleep a wink all night. And the results. By first light, I was exhausted and began to be assailed by fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so, the conclusion of last night's experiment is this. A good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Yes, I think most of us probably knew that already. What others presuppose, I prove by experimentation. That, my dear fellow, is the scientific method. Ah, yes, and one more thing. Do you remember this? Yes, of course. It's the poison that Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, you didn't manage to... It was a laborious task, as the bottle was nearly empty. But such inconveniences do not hinder Sholmes. Oh, no. I managed to confirm that it contained strychnine. So I was right. Perhaps, though of course such circumstantial evidence doesn't prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in your care now, but licking the inside of the neck is not recommended. Ah, could I have a word? Oh, could I have a word? Gregson, how good of you to come! I can't ever figure out this accent. Forget it. Excuse me. Wait a minute, Inspector. I, don't wish to make a nuisance of myself. From the look on your face, I'd say it's someone else who you think is making a nuisance of himself. My dear Inspector, please speak freely. Pretend that I'm not here. Believe me, if I could do that, life would be a whole lot simpler for me.
Do you have the results, Inspector, of the investigation of Mr. Shamspeare's room?
Not yet. Shouldn't be long now, though. No, I'm here about something else. That dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean the man from this newspaper article we discovered yesterday in Mr. Shamspeare's room?
A man by the name of, yes, Selden. Was that one of the names that they read at the end of the first game? Like the government was talking about? I went through the archives of the yard and dug up the fellow's file. There's something in there that, well, it caught my eye.
Something caught your eye? What, Inspector, what?
I've copied up the relevant parts for you, so you can read it for yourselves.
Thank you. Oh, awesome. Okay, wait, hold on. These documents include the details that were in the newspaper cutting we found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. I'll rearrange everything in the court records so we don't have duplicate information. Why are you giving us a copy of this important file, though?
Well, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? I'm just making sure things get handled in the proper fashion.
Oh, Scotland Yard's workings are so wonderful.
Indeed, dear fellows, and the inspector here is a shining diamond in its crown. A shining diamond in the rough, maybe. Look, I just don't want to be beholden to a lawyer, that's all. Counsel, defendants, get in here. They're always yelling at me. Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest from the public gallery. Not nodding off at all. Certainly not. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm rather tired of seeing Mr. Mustache in floods of tears personally. So, best of luck to you.
Welcome to Mr. Naruto, Esquire!
Yes, Mr. Natsume?
It's time, isn't it?
Yes, this is it. Miss Olive Green and Mr. William Shamspeare. This is going to be the final battle. This is only the second case. Does this game have 5 cases? Whew. It's gonna be a long day. Long, 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 long day. I won't really have saved Sokatsu-san until I've exposed the whole truth of everything that's been going on. But it's all coming to head now. You can do it, Ryunosuke. You have to. It's like the... I can do it. I'm Knuff. I can do it. Alright. Why is the light so bright? Okay, there we go. Get some mood lighting in here, you know? Here we go. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again now. Before the recess, we heard a most startling accusation from the defense, namely that the victim of the case we heard here only a few days ago is the perpetrator of this incident. A reckless, rash, and prejudiced. You are calling me prejudiced? The nerve. The nerve. Okay. Charge of wrongdoing, in my opinion, my lord. However, the prosecution has tried to extend every courtesy to this amateur newcomer from the dubious eastern shores. Thank you for that backhanded consideration. A rather cold assessment from the honorable British prosecutor, I must say. So, Lord Van Zeeks, the new witness present and ready to take the stand. Ready and waiting in the witness's antechamber, my lord. Very well. Bailiff, bring the witnesses in. Why is she painting? Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court, please. William Shamspeare, my liege. For mine occupation, I say only, that I be a tragic victim, to be pitied. Currently unemployed, in other words.
I'm Olive Green. I'm a fledgling artist. Well, no. Not a fledgling, really. A hopeless failure who's too weak-spirited to admit she has no talent, I suppose.
Also currently unemployed, in other words. What a curry. Okay. Mr. Shamspeare. My lord, I am thy humble servant. I'm afraid that you are no longer merely the victim in this affair. The possibility has been raised that you are in fact the assailant intent on taking the life of your fellow lodger. The part you have played in this whole business will be thoroughly scrutinized, I assure you. I would for naught less, my lord. And Miss Green.
Yes?
You are aware of the reason you have been summoned to this courtroom today, I presume?
Yes, the officer did explain. He said I poisoned this ridiculous buffoon.
And, do you accept the charge, Miss Green?
I don't know anything about any poisoning. And I don't know anything about this man.
Come, lady, die to live. Verily, I know not thy prickly pigmented personage. Very well, let us proceed with the matter at hand. That being to ascertain whether or not Miss Green has any involvement in this affair. Hold on, while we're here, let me review the court record. Okay, yeah. Let's see. 18 counts of burglary, 6 counts of suspected murder, died of natural causes whilst in prison. His final moments witnessed only by his cellmate. Suspicious. The estimated £1,000 worth of loot he stole remains unrecovered. Manchester Strangeways Prison announced the death of convicted murderer and burglar Selden by natural causes in the early hours this morning. He had been suffering with fever since the end of October. Alerted by the shouts of his fellow cellmate, medical staff arrived to find him already dead before his capital punishment could be carried out. That sounds like a fake. So this is the poison we've been hearing so much about, strychnine. There are a few remnants in the bottom of the bottle here, look. You mustn't be tempted by it. Of course not, as long as we don't lose the trial. No, even if we lose the trial. No, we mustn't lose the trial in the first place, Mr. Naruto. Make up your mind, Susato-san. Alright. Sounds like a plan. I think that was the last thing we needed to observe. Okay.
It's all very strange indeed. Why would you suspect me? I barely ever go to the East End anyway. It so happens that I passed by that neighborhood 6 days ago, that's all. And on the night that this man was poisoned, I was still in hospital, fighting for my life.
Yes, having been unfortunately caught up in the incident on the street outside the Garrett household. An incident that rendered you unconscious for some 3 days.
I was struck in the middle of the back by a knife through no fault of my own, and now I'm under suspicion? What other irrelevant things might I be suspected of? It's all very disturbing.
Your energies may be better spent worrying about random knife attacks, I feel, Miss Green. At this point in time, all that appears to connect you with Mr. Shamspeare's lodgings is the Briar Road incident of 6 days ago. That's why. We would like you to testify formally now about exactly what happened.
Oh no! The incident 6 days ago? You mean you want me to relive that awful incident?
Unfortunately, yes. Please tell the court what happened that day. And of course, we will be interested to hear from you about your movements that day too, Mr. Shamspeare.
Eh? What happened the 6 days ago was nothing to do with me being poisoned.
Let us proceed then. The witnesses will present their formal testimony to the court on the subject of the incident that took place on Briar Road the evening of the 17th of February. Indeed.
It was 6 days ago at about 5 p.m. I was walking along in the road in the snow when I was suddenly stabbed in the back. Coincidentally, it happened to be just outside the house where the men in this cave have their lodgings.
I was at the tavern in the eve of which thou speakest, for I had bespoke my supper.
It was the first time I'd been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all. Anyway, I was admitted straight to the hospital, so I knew nothing about all this business.
Yes, the second incident inside a week in what I believe to be aptly described as the haunted lodgings. One can only presume this is a most unfortunate coincidence. Meanwhile, you say you were not in your room, Mr. Shamspeare. 'Twas the following morn when I did awaken that I learned of the dire events. Marry, what accommodation did the officers of the law make on the floor above mine? When Suzuki-san was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. As suspected, there is nothing connecting these two witnesses but happenstance. It's true, it does seem as though they're unrelated at first glance, but I'm not so sure. There's something lurking in the shadows here. I feel certain of it. And this is my one and only chance to expose it. Counsel, you may now cross-examine these two witnesses. Yes, my lord. My lord. Alright. Shut the front door. Alright, my friend.
Hold it!
What errand? What little matter, Miss Green? Please elaborate. It was nothing, really. It's not worth mentioning. If you remember, you mentioned it to us yesterday at the hospital. It was related to the card you were holding. Miss Green! What was that? Yeah, okay, we know about that. That already happened. From memory, I believe the card contained a note that read, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. But what does that matter? This has nothing to do with Duncan. Hello?
Excuse me.
Excuse me! Mr. Shamspear, do you have something to share with the court? To be or not to be? That is the question. Ah, pray forgive me. The great bard's word springeth from within me, with ne'er a thought. Don't tell me it's because you're possessed by Shakespeare's spirit, right? Hearing Miss Green's words a moment ago seemed to make you think of something. Something of relevance, perhaps? Well. Nay, sire, 'twas nothing at all. Presumably you know the name, though. Mr. Duncan Ross, I mean? After all, you were both lodgers in the same house. I would it were so, but sadly nay. Lodging be a lonely occupation, sire. My lodging fellows be rarely known to me. So you haven't heard of him, even though he passed away in his room just one floor above yours? Miss Green? Me, my lord. Have I done something? The card that was mentioned before, containing the note. Do you have it upon your person? I do, yes. But I don't need it anymore. In fact, I should throw it away, really. Before you dispose of it, the court will take it as evidence, please. Yes. Of course. That's what links Mr. Shamspear and Miss Green. It's Duncan Ross. Now, continue with your testimony, please, Miss Green. Okay, let's go to the court record. Okay, I just want to observe. Let's see what this is. The envelope has been ripped open rather carelessly, hasn't it? Miss Green strikes me as the type of person to open correspondence more neatly than that. Ah, what is it? The way the envelope is torn. I'm almost sure I've seen that exact same shape somewhere else. Oh, you don't mean... Were you thinking of this piece of evidence? Exactly, that's it. Try to match them up. They go together perfectly. This torn off end of the envelope clearly belongs with this card. Okay, I just want to save where I'm at quick. Because sometimes it gets confusing, and even though, like, I have evidence, I don't know if that's, like, what I'm supposed to present when. All I know is you had to have been... Let's just present the torn piece for now.
Objection.
No? Okay, no. Okay, fine. Maybe I have to press first. This is why we save, because it's confusing. Unfortunately, it takes forever to load, so I try not to do it too often. Shoot, I didn't mean to do that. Ah! I'm skipping. Although sometimes they give me hints, which is nice. What's happening? Oh, it was the first time I was in there. I had little matter to tend to, that's all. It was the first time. So now we're going to go and we're going to present it here. Because it wasn't your first time, because this was found here. Really? Really? Okay. I have one other thing I'm going to do before I decide to press that last statement. I'm going to present the big envelope. Because I presented the little piece, but that might not work. But the big envelope potentially will work. Okay, so let's present this.
Objection.
Really? Okay, so I have to, okay, sorry guys. Fine. Let's press this last statement. I'll play by your rules. It clearly wasn't your first time in there. Because otherwise, why would half of that little envelope be there? Okay, anyway.
Hold it!
Yes, you didn't regain consciousness until the day after the trial, did you? In the early hours. Exactly. So how could I have had anything to do with it? And yet, you still hold me in here at the court like this, honestly. So at the time of the poisoning, the witness was unconscious in her hospital bed. Could there be a more airtight alibi, I ask you? And yet, in spite of that, you claim that I was the culprit? Well, I am... But you certainly haven't produced any evidence to support your wild claim, have you? Not at all? There you have it. The good lady has yet to see evidence, my learned friend. I'm working on it. Counsel, I would point out here that the jury's next decision will be final. We're really up against the wall here. Okay. Oh, Mr. Naruto, you pursued Mr. Chancery wonderfully there. It's worked out well, hasn't it? We have a new clue at last. Alright, now I need to pull off a really insightful objection somewhere. Well, as you've managed to expose this promising new angle, I wonder if you should perhaps try to develop that. Yes, of course. And yelling out objections isn't necessarily the best way to do that. Okay, so I'm supposed to keep pressing. So I guess they kind of give me hints. Okay.
Hold it!
I'm well acquainted with the case. I'm sorry you had to go through that. It was awful. I still can't believe I was unconscious for so long. And I woke up to find that the case had been solved and the culprit arrested. Yes, the incident has been solved already. Perhaps it would help you to consider it a bad dream that ended with your awakening and should now be forgotten. Yes, I suppose so. Thank you. But before you put it completely behind you, Miss Green, I need you to remember the details one last time. You must tell the court exactly what happened that day for us to arrive at the truth about this new case. The trouble is, there's nothing to tell, really. I was just walking along the pavement.
Hold it!
What were you doing there that day, though? What do you mean? The art school you attend, what's it called? Yes. It's the Thorndyke Academy of Fine Arts. According to Mr. Sholmes, that's just in the vicinity of Brixton Road, which is some 10 steps away from the scene of the underground. I believe you mentioned before that you also live on Brixton Road, isn't that right? So why then would you have been walking along Briar Road in the middle of the East End? Well, it's because, oh yes, of course. I thought it might make a nice picture. The witness is a student of art. City-dwelling artists can't all paint grand urban vistas. That's right. I happen to like the crumbling look of that part of town. Perhaps quaint would have been less grating term. The point is, she's definitely hiding something. Yes, it seems she's not going to be forthcoming with the truth. That she's trying to hide away why she was there that evening. It must mean that there's a reason for her not wanting us to know. That's the key to this. And you, Mr. Shakespeare, on the evening of the incident 6 days ago, would you tell the court what exactly you were doing? 'Twould be my pleasure, sire. Okay, this is the last statement I haven't pressed yet. Are they gonna, like,
I have to press all the statements and then they're gonna be like, ah, guilty. I swear.
Hold it!
It was the last one, so we'll see. A tavern, you say? Which one?
'Twas the Slug and Salad where I did tarry. 'Tis a jewel in the East End. And a little unexpected, I feel.
What do you mean, Lord Van Zieks?
The Slug and Salad offers unusually fine dining, for the locality, at least. Not an establishment you'd expect to be patronized by a man with not even a crumb of bread in his room. It's true. The menu lists premium crusts of bread and glasses of water in different levels of cloudiness. I would have expected grub's grubbery on the local vicinity to be more appropriate for your means. Watery soup and mushy peas, or rather, soupy water and pea-like mush.
All equally appetizing.
I just wanted to try some water in a different pub for once. What's wrong with that?
How different can water really be?
Or perhaps there's a more plausible explanation. A specific reason why you had to go to that particular establishment.
Agreed. The fact that on that day of all days he dined at a place he wouldn't normally, it does stand out. So Mr. Shakespeare's own actions on the day of the incident 6 days ago were slightly suspicious. What if we have some evidence that can explain those actions? Okay. I have evidence. Mr. Shakespeare.
Yes, sire?
On the day in question, is it not the case that you visited the Slug and Salad, a place you don't normally patronize, for a very particular reason?
I don't know what you're talking about. Pray, if thou hast some purpose, speakest.
Very well, I will present the court with evidence.
Take that!
I believe this card reveals the answer.
Good. Miss Green's card, you mean?
That's right, my lord. It reads, I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. Don't tell anyone else about this letter or the meaning. It is a matter of utmost importance. Mr. Shakespeare, your actions on the afternoon of Miss Green's stabbing are exactly as described in this note. Personally, I find it hard to believe that's a coincidence. Don't you, Mr. Shakespeare?
Oh, well.
Excuse me, can I say something? Yes, Miss Green?
That card was delivered to me. It doesn't have anything to do with this odd man, does it?
Well, you'd think so, yes, but it's hard to believe it's merely...
My lord, may I?
May you what, Miss Green?
I'd like to make something very clear about that card.
Very well, then. You may amend your testimony to include details about the peculiar note.
This note was delivered to me at my address. It's nothing to do with this old man next to me here. La 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 la. That is incorrect information because I have proof. Because there was a corner of it found in the victim's room that night. Ha da. Objection.
Objection!
The day before the incident, exactly 1 week ago now, this note was delivered to your address. And upon carrying out the instructions in the note, you found yourself in hospital.
Yes, I did. It's terrible everything that's happened to me.
Yes, it is terrible. If it's all true, that is.
I love this song.
What do you mean? Miss Green, have a look at this, please. It's the torn off end of an envelope.
Oh, is it?
And it so happens that it fits together perfectly with the envelope of the note you received.
Where did you find that?
In Shamspeare's room. Hey? In my room. Mr. Shamspeare, do you perhaps remember this note from somewhere?
Well.
Your actions that afternoon followed the instructions in the note to the letter. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on the 17th. And so that's exactly where you went. Let me ask you again, Mr. Shamspeare. You already knew about this note, didn't you? And you, Miss Green.
What did I do?
As this torn-off end of the envelope proves, the note was originally in Mr. Shamspeare's room. So how is it that it came to be in your possession?
I don't have the first idea. I'm just a fledgling artist after all.
There is only one explanation. You broke into Mr. Shamspeare's room and stole it.
You did what? Sorry. Thou hast what? Thou were in my room? What on earth do you want with me?
So he doesn't know her. Interesting. It would seem that both witnesses need to testify again. Miss Green. Yes? Whilst you have the court's sympathy, I'm sure, for the suffering you have endured in recent events, anyone found to be given false testimony in a court of law will be duly punished. Please bear that in mind.
Yes, I know.
Very well then, witnesses. You will give formal testimony again now, on the subject of this curious anomaly regarding the note Miss Green claims to have received.
I do remember now, 'twas a week ago, peradventure, that note was delivered unto me. On the day writ therein, I did tarry a long hour at the Slug and Salad, yet nobody came. Thereafter, on the evening I shared the company of the Japanese fellow, I did see the note had vanished. I don't know what you mean. You think I snuck into the man's rooms, do you? Why would I? I can point out the villain here. And as for that torn off piece of the envelope, I don't know anything about it.
Okay. You now claim to have received this letter, do you, Mr. Shamspeare?
Faith, 'tis so, my lord. And I would swear to have set it upon the table in my humble lodgings. Yet, 'tis clear to me now that since I returned from the tavern that night, I have not laid eyes upon it.
Well, that being the case, young lady, it would appear that your testimony was
a lie. Is that what you think? How unfair of you to think that I'm the one lying.
I beg your pardon.
I'm just a fledgling artist, as I said. And fledgling artists don't lie. That note was delivered to me at my address, besides. We all know who the liar around here is.
If that's true, Miss Green, how do you explain the facts? This part of the envelope was, without question.
I don't see why I should explain.
Sorry?
I'm a fledgling artist. My job here is just to say what happened, that's all. It's your job to give the explanations and the proofs. You, the fledgling lawyer.
The fledgling will do his best. Evidently, my learned friend's cross-examination is our only hope of learning the truth. Well, counsel? I'm ready, my lord. Very well, then. The defense will now proceed with the cross-examination of the witnesses.
Miss Green clearly did break into Mr. Shamspeare's room. There can be no question of that. And that's how she acquired the note.
Yes, two facts that are starting to lead me to a possible explanation for all this. And it's not a pretty one. No one came. That's interesting. So even after waiting for an hour, nobody appeared?
Well, yes, sir. 'Tis as thou sayest.
Really? You paused for a moment before you answered.
In truth, when thou asked when nobody appeared, I did suddenly recall.
Really? Do you mean to tell the court that somebody did appear after all?
I was not alone that night in the slug and salad, my lord. No, 'tis returning to me now. I did treat my lips to almost clear water, and mine innards to a premium crust of bread. And all around me danced a great many companions.
What do you mean?
Flies, sire, flies! In the name of Beelzebub, where were they? What were they? Fairies, perchance, from a midsummer's night's dream, come to taunt me?
I think they were just flies.
I can't help thinking that the flies ought to choose something more wholesome to buzz around. Is that wrong of me?
Hold it!
It seems that this note was actually delivered to Mr. Shamspeare about 1 week ago.
Oh, does it?
But for some reason it ended up in your possession? I can't think of any way that could have happened except for you breaking into Mr. Shamspeare's lodgings.
Objection!
But for what reason would the witness have done that?
I
won't deny that Miss Green's possession of the note would appear to defy logic. However, until and unless her involvement in this case can be proven in some other way, any further pursuit of this note is meaningless. Miss Green can only have come to be in possession of the note by stealing it from Mr. Shamspeare's room. And yet, there's no obvious reason why she would have done such a thing.
What if there was some other reason she broke into his lodgings, though?
Yes, we should pursue that idea, Mr. Nanowrimo.
We're close now, I can feel it. We're close to a breakthrough. Should I press the other statement first? Should I? Okay. I feel like this is a point I could present something. I mean, you do it because your boy was killed. Let's see what evidence I have. Oh, for the photo, maybe.
Objection!
No? Not the photo? It's kind of tough. Like, there's usually, to me, there just doesn't seem to be an obvious thing that they want me to. I'll press the next statement. I just want to double check there's not any other evidence. Okay, any other? Why would you? Okay. Let's just press the next statement, I guess.
Hold it!
So you don't want to tell the court the truth about the letter, is that it?
I'm a fledgling artist, remember?
Introverted, fie! This fledgling doth readily cast aspersions upon my nature.
Yet I am an angel, a seraph. Birds do harmonize with my song. The wind doth frolic on my wing.
Oh pity, wherefore dost thou accuse one so pure of heart, ample woman?
Pure of heart? I don't think so. Even a fledgling like me can see you're just a failure.
Tragedy, thou shalt not know the true heart of an artist until thine instruction hereafter by death. Oh, the days or the years that last to enlighten thee, thou must wait so long and in vain.
Mr. Naruhodo, interject!
This is your chance to shine. I'm no Shakespearean actor, Miss Susato. No, as far as I can tell, the only thing that's going to resolve this argument is evidence. She found this letter. Terrifying. I'm afraid to say. The outcome of this cross-examination will change the way we look at this case completely. What do they want me to present? Okay. I'm gonna save here again, and then I'm going to try different things of evidence. Not sure. I'm just not entirely sure what direction we're looking to go in here. Okay. Let's look at the evidence. The other thing we could do is this.
Objection!
Nope. We're gonna try different things. La 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 la. I don't understand. I would fail this game on the DS. Why would you? Why would you indeed?
Objection!
Oh, I'm supposed to present the poison now. I thought that was gonna wait a bit. Alright. Yesterday at the hospital, we saw you with this bottle, and though the contents spilt during the course of our meeting, a small quantity remained. Ah! According to the defense's independent analysis, Mr. Sholmes' chemistry set, the liquid that was still in the bottle was identified as strychnine. What? Strychnine? The very same poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspeare. Ah! Un momento, por favor. Miss Green, you broke into this man's lodging. For one reason and one reason alone. To cover the end of the pipe that feeds the gas lamp in Mr. Shamspeare's room with poison. Can this be? You broke into my room to... It may seem incredible to the court, but from the remaining clues, there's only one logical conclusion that we can reach. The person who attempted to take Mr. Shamspeare's life with poison was you, Miss Olive Green. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dearie. Oh, they're so dramatic. Order! Counsel, are you seriously suggesting this woman put poison in the end of the gas pipe with intent to kill? Yes, my lord. There's no other way to explain the facts. But if Miss Green did indeed set this odious trap 6 days ago, and the victim had put his mouth to the pipe that very evening as expected, the attempted murder would have happened 6 days ago, surely. Well, that's a very good point. Perhaps not, my lord. He's helping me? Okay, what's your explanation there, sir? I beg your pardon. There was a significant police presence in the area that evening on account of the incident on Briar Road. Local residents were being interviewed throughout the night as part of the ongoing inquiry. A circumspect criminal would likely have chosen not to carry out any wrongdoing at the time. Lord Van Zieks. And of course, the following morning there was no more activity at Mr. Shamspeare's address. More activity? Oh, yes! You mean his fellow lodger, Mr. Natsume, being arrested on suspicion of murder? That's right. And as the defense has already proposed, Mr. Shamspeare was meddling with the gas in the pipe for a very sinister reason himself. To cause the gas stove in Mr. Natsume's room to go out, thereby asphyxiating the occupant. But once Mr. Natsume had been arrested, his room was under constant surveillance by the police. In the circumstances, Mr. Shamspeare had no reason to blow air into the gas pipe. His intended victim being in a prison cell. With the need to tamper with the gas removed, the poison on the pipe lay dormant. And then, 3 days ago now, the situation changed again. Right, Mr. Natsume's trial, which took place here at the Old Bailey, came to an end. The trial in which the man stood accused of stabbing Miss Green in the back was duly acquitted. That resulted in Mr. Natsume returning to his lodgings for the first time in 2 days. And that very night, his gas stove mysteriously went out, and Mr. Shamspeare was mysteriously poisoned. In conclusion, the poison that was present on the mouth of the gas pipe had been put there in the victim's room some 4 days earlier. With that new understanding, it becomes clear that this letter was all part of the plan. What plan? The court will recall that the note gave instructions to visit the slug and salad at 5 o'clock, and that the recipient should tell nobody else. The reason for those instructions are now clear. To ensure that the lodger would not be at home at the stated time. To make sure I wasn't home? Exactly. While you were out, Miss Green could safely slip into your room, knowing that she wouldn't be disturbed.
You mean to say that letter
Was written by Miss Green, yes. And in order to cover her tracks, she took it away with her when she left. Just after she smeared poison over the mouth of the gas pipe in your room.
What do you have to say for yourself, witness?
I feel like she wouldn't be the kind to just deny it. She'd just be like, yeah.
Just who are you? Why did you try to kill me?
Miss Green's motive should be obvious. It's all tied up with someone whose name we've heard several times already during the course of this trial. So, that's what's behind all this. You will share your because I don't know where this is going. I never know where these are going.
Which person was behind this woman's motive to attack the victim's life?
Her hubby wubby.
Take that!
Duncan Ross.
That's right. Before the defendant, Mr. Natsume, took up residence in the lodgings of Mr. Garrett's, somebody else was renting the room, Mr. Duncan Ross.
I knew I'd heard the name somewhere else. It was all over the papers a month ago when that man died in strange circumstances in the haunted lodgings. That does ring a vague... Of course, yes, I remember now. The young man they claimed was strangled by the convict's curse or some such.
Sadly, my lord, it wasn't a curse of any kind, nor was it an accident. The man died as a result of Mr. Shamspeare blowing into the gas pipe and causing gas to leak into the room. It was murder, plain and simple.
Well, what do you know? The world is so unfair. Curses, curious deaths. That's all people care about. If it's an interesting story, they want to know. It doesn't cross their minds that real people are involved. And once they're bored, just 1 month later, once the story's lost its appeal, everyone's forgotten him. You mean you? Duncan was...
Mr. Ross was Miss Green's fiancé.
Fiancé?
You may not have known until now who Miss Green really is, Mr. Shamspeare. But she's known exactly who you are all along. Because you're her sworn enemy, the murderer who took the life of the man she was to marry.
Marry?
Miss Green, is it not the case that in order to exact revenge on Mr. Shamspeare, you smeared poison over the end of the gas pipe?
Poor thing. This is all quite extraordinary. Am I correct in my understanding that you now accuse both parties' counsel? Each on different counts of murder?
Yes, my lord, that's correct.
Objection!
You were agreeing with me 2 seconds ago.
Inhaling so deeply, it appears that my fledgling learned friend has taken in a lungful of dubious gas that's causing his judgment to be clouded.
You were just agreeing with me. What?
Why would Mr. Shamspeare have wanted to kill these lodgers, as you say? You have completely failed to provide a motive to substantiate your accusation against the man.
But he clearly did it, so who cares?
Yes, that's right, Mr. Reaper, my liege.
I have been slighted. 'Tis lies, all lies. I deny utterance, every utterance. And you'll have to forgive me, Mr. Naruhodo, sir. But I don't intend to admit to anything either. Miss Green. I'm sure you'll think I'm being very rude, but I'm not going to be sent to the gallows for the likes of this scoundrel.
Objection!
But you broke into the man's room. If you didn't do it to smear poison on the pipe, what was your reason? Uh-huh. I thought I'd have a look around, that's all. Sorry? You're right, I suspected him. So I thought perhaps I might find some evidence or something in his room. Evidence that it was him who took Duncan's life. Oh, vilest servility! Oh, tyranny! Oh, rotundity of woman! No! But in any case, whenever I leave my room, I do turn the key in the lock. That whole place is falling apart. The locks and the doors are no different. Duncan showed me once how to unlock the door with some tacks and a piece of wire. Awfulness! Artfulness! Oh, tyranny! Oh, profanity of woman! We will consider your trespassing on some future occasion, but for now, tell the court what you found, what evidence your search revealed. Well, I spotted the note that I sent him lying on the floor. When I went to pick it up, I noticed something. One of the floorboards was loose, and underneath it, I discovered a secret hiding place. Hey! Yes, we also discovered that hiding place. Inside, we found a newspaper cutting, a photograph, and an empty tin box. Ah, yes. Well, the thing is, when I found it, the box wasn't empty. What? There was something in it. Yes. This rather nice key. What are you doing with that? What the? Every ounce of color is drained from his face. Give it here! Give it to me now! It's mine! I inherited it! Is he the escaped convict? Yeah, maybe. What was that, witness? What did you say? You inherited it. No, What's all this about? He inherited that key? It was obviously important to you, since you'd gone to such lengths to hide it, so I took it. I don't know what it's for, but you took something precious from me, so I took something precious from you. So what if it means you can't open something now? I don't care. Give it back this minute! Give it to me! Calm yourself, witness. So Mr. Shanspeare has tried, and in one case succeeded, to take the life of 2 lodgers now. So he's probably the guy, the escaped convict. Yes, his motive for doing so is the key to everything that's happened. It's true that there appears to be no motive to support the accusation against Mr. Shanspeare at first. But considering everything we know, no. I think there's actually something that could explain it. What? I need to recall every piece of evidence at our disposal. Everything we've seen and heard. Because I'm sure that I just caught a glimpse of the link that runs through all these events. In that case, counsel, present the evidence. What is that you can explain the motivation for Mr. Shanspeare's alleged crime?
Take that!
That's an official police report, is it not? The Selden file. How did you get a hold of that? Selden? The now sadly deceased Mr. Ross and the defendant, Mr. Natsume, have only one thing linking them. The fact that they had lodgings in the same room. Well, yes, we know this, certainly. A room that was formerly occupied by Selden. Until, that is, he was arrested by Scotland Yard for his involvement in multiple burglaries. I see. And it so happens that the convict Selden left behind one very substantial mystery when he died. The some £1,000 worth of loot that he stole, which as yet remains to be found. Yes, of course. It's coming back to me now. It's written in his file here. £1,000 lost en route to hell. That was how the papers summed it up. And it seems that one particular fellow inmate was with the convict on his final moments. It's not hard to imagine Selden entrusting that inmate with his most closely guarded secret. The location of the stolen loot, and perhaps a key to unlock whatever container the valuables were in.
Ah, you mean this case?
Mr. Shamspeare, it was you, wasn't it? You were at the capital offender's side when he died, were you not?
What are you talking about? 'Tis a false charge, I tell you, a false charge.
The name of the inmate who was with Selden at his death isn't noted in the file, but a simple telegram to the prison where he died would quickly tell us how false the charge really is. But even if it's true, why would the man be so intent on killing every subsequent occupant of the convict's lodgings? There's only one explanation for that, my lord. It was in that very room that Selden hid his loot. So it all comes out. Yes, and having established that, all of Mr. Shamspeare's subsequent actions start to make perfect sense. When he was let out of prison following Selden's death, he made immediately for Mr. Garrett's lodgings in the hope of renting Selden's old room. However, the retired army man was unable to offer him the accommodation of his choice, because Selden's old room had already been let to someone else, Mr. Duncan Ross. Which is why Mr. Shamspeare subsequently devised his gas-based plot to kill the occupant of the room. And when he was successful, he presumably intended to inquire about switching into the newly vacant room. However, a certain jittery someone had beaten him to it. Mr. Sasaki Natsume, the defendant of this case, no less. So you decided to use the ploy with the gas again, didn't you, Mr. Shamspeare? This time to oust Mr. Natsume. All for one simple and avaricious reason? To get your hands on the £1,000 of loot left behind with the dead convict. You up! Ah! And that is the day Mr. Shamspeare died. Looks like I'm gonna snuff it before they get the stretch music. Listen, I want you to have me loot anything. Stop coppers getting their hands on it. It's hidden in the room where I was lodging when they got me this key to it. Take it. Always stay one step ahead, mate. See you now, I guess. Shamspeare. This is mine. What did he just say? It's mine. That loot is mine. Mr. Shamspeare? It's all lies. I don't accept any of it. Why should I? After all, you don't have a shred of evidence. You can't prove I killed that fellow. Forsooth, I'm the victim here, remember. Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? If I don't admit to it, there's nothing you can do. You can't arrest me, for the time being, anyway. Verily, you can't arrest the victim, can you? Isn't that right, ladies and gentlemen? I'm so close, I just need a few more hours. I swore to myself that I'd get my hands on it, and I can almost taste it now. Do you really think I'd just give it up? There's no question in my mind now, this man is guilty through and through. But he seems so utterly intoxicated by the idea of that loot. I'm afraid that however hard you press him, he'll never admit to what he's done, Mr. Naruhodo. There is a way. Pardon? There's one way I can finish him. No! He's already committed the most heinous crimes to get his hands on that loot, which means all we need to do is find it first. A fine plan. Were it not for the fact that the police thoroughly searched the room following the death of Mr. Ross. If it's there at all, it must be hidden very well indeed. Without conclusive evidence, I certainly cannot rule.
If only there was some way we could find the convict's loot quickly.
This is the final piece in this complex puzzle, but I think we might have it in our possession already. Or rather, I think we may well have something that can help us find where the loot is hidden. My lord. Yes, counsel? The defense would like to make a proposal about how to find the late convict's hidden loot. I believe we are already in possession of something that could give us a clue as to its whereabouts. It's our last chance, so it has to be worth a gamble. Besides, we've used the same technique once already, and it definitely paid off then. Very well then, counsel, let the court hear your idea. What do you propose we can use in order to locate the hiding place of the deceased convict's hull? The gas meter? Hold on. I don't know exactly how, but I feel like...
Take that!
This... Okay, nope. We can use that, can't we?
Objection!
Yeah, no, okay, fine. I have another idea. Stop wasting the court's time with this senseless rubbish. Okay, yeah. Okay, calm down. His proposal was better. We already found one secret hiding place. Oh! The findings from the method we used are still in the record, however, aren't they? I believe it's worth proposing the same method again now. Oh, the handprint thing? Where's the handprint machine? Do we have the handprint machine? Oh, the handprint thing.
Take that!
If I'm not mistaken, those are Mr. Shamspeare's handprints on the wall of his lodgings. That's right, my lord. Exposed as a result of the defense's independent investigation of the scene. Based on a wonderful new discovery in the field of forensic science by the great detective, Mr. Sholmes. The great detective? Is that some kind of joke? Do you really think I'm going to be daunted by a man with such a ridiculous title? I should think the great bard ought to recognize such a title when he hears one, Mr. Shamspeare. Perhaps we should compete for the honor of most ridiculous title. Ha! This Herlock Sholmes himself? 'Tis Herlock Sholmes himself. What are you doing here, great detective? Your usual haunts are the filthy back streets of the capital, are they not? Ah, Mr. Reaper, it's been too long. And I see your complexion has worsened since we last met. Mr. Sholmes? He does know Lord Van Zieks then. Well enough to say something like that in any case. Were they like school chums or something? Mr. Sholmes, though you may be heralded as a great detective by the population at large, that does not give you the right to come and go in my courtroom as you see fit. If I may, my lord, Mr. Sholmes' newly developed scientific method has helped us to uncover vital clues in this case already. Clues, you say? I call them skin prints, my lord. My method identifies every location touched by an individual under scrutiny. It's the method by which we were able to ascertain this gentleman's gas pipe activities. You need only a small sample of something the individual has previously touched to make an indicator solution. In your case, sir, I used the teacup you had been holding. Elementary. So now, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? What am I to use as a sample to make the indicator solution this time? Thank you for offering to help, Mr. Sholmes. When the convict was arrested, he was living in what is now Sosuke-san's room. We need a sample to help locate Selden's loot that's hidden in his old room. What form will the sample take? Can we just show, take it off of him? Take his cane. Just take his cane, bro. Oh, wait, he has gloves. Oh, we can just take his gloves, right? We'll need something of Selden's in order to create the indicator solution to find his loot, and something the convict owned happens to be in the possession of somebody listed in the course record. Upon my word, Mr. Naruto, your powers of reasoning appear to be on the up. So, which particular person do you have in mind? From whom can we obtain possession? Blah, 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 blah.
Take that!
Miss Green. Me? What do you want? The key around your neck, if you please. Sorry? That key belongs to Selden. There will be remnants of secretions from the man's skin on its surface that we can use. Very true. That is the sample we need. Using it, we can create the indicator solution required for Mr. Sholm's skin print seeker. And find out exactly what Selden touched in the room that he used to rent. Mr. Shamspeare is one great to another, I assure you. The late convict's hall is hidden somewhere in his former lodgings. I shall uncover it in no more than 30 minutes. So, Mr. Shamspeare, the truth is well within our grasp now, and as such, you will never get your hands on Selden's stolen wealth. In that case, I'll gladly let Mr. Sholmes have this key. No! Give it the key to me! The detective shan't have it! It's over, Mr. Shamspeare. No, no! You're out of options now. There's only one thing left for you to do. Admit your guilt. Whoa. Oh, shameful spear! Despair! Be thy name! Alright. That was something.
I never intended to kill the man. I just wanted to drive him out of the room, that's all.
So you'd have time to find the convict's haul of stolen goods? Yet after you'd killed the young man, you didn't move into that room. I asked the landlord, of course. I pleaded with him, but he refused. Why? I was 3 months behind with the rent, for one thing. Mr. Gerda really has had a lot to put up with.
And he has the gas repair work done immediately afterwards, putting the room out of action for a while. And then this Japanese man swooped in at just the right moment to sign the new lease. Poor Mr. Natsume. What unfortunate timing. Then, 5 days ago, after the incident on Briar Road when the Japanese fellow got himself arrested, I thought I'd finally had my chance, but it wasn't to be. No, the scene was sealed off and guarded by the police night and day. And, if I remember rightly, Mr. Sholmes spent the whole day in there reading books. I couldn't even enter the room, let alone search for the loot. Which is why, on the day Mr. Natsume was acquitted and returned to his room, you once again tried your trick of blowing air into the gas pipe to feed the stove in his room. Unbeknownst to you, however, that action would lead you into a deadly trap. William Shamspeare. How does it go? To be or not to be? That is the question. From Shakespeare's Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. Well, let me tell you, in your case, it's not to be. That is the answer. You deserve to die for what you've done. Wowza. So what does this have to do with my dead best friend? At first, I really did think I was just a terrible accident. I'll never forget our conversation the night before Duncan died. The gas supply in my new lodgings are a complete disaster, you know, Olive. The gas supply? Yes, the stove always seems to go out in the middle of the night for some reason. That's no joke. They say it's the convict's curse. Oh, Duncan, please, don't say that. I don't care how cheap it is.
Alright then, if that's that important to you, I'll start looking for a new place. There are spare rooms in my house.
Why don't you leave that horrible room tonight?
No, I'll better not. We said we'd wait until we graduated before we told our parents, remember?
But that was the last time we ever spoke. That very night he fell victim to the gas. If only I'd known it was going to happen, I'd have insisted he left that horrible room that instant. But instead, I've only been left with this bitter regret. I stopped going to school, but something kept drawing me back to the house on Briar Road. I saw a stooped, eastern-looking man with a mustache coming out of the house one day when I was there. He walked up the road to scrubbery for some food, so I followed him and sat myself down next to him. He had some watery-looking soup and started to pick a quarrel with a publican.
This place is cursed, I tell you, cursed! The ghost of that convict who used to live there is trying to suffocate me! I wake up in the middle of the night, freezing to death because the stove has gone out. The room is full of gas and I can hardly breathe. But the pipes have checked. No problem there. It's like I'm the problem. That's what they're thinking.
But how could that be? Duncan was gone, and now this man had almost suffered the same fate. Could it really be a curse?
The poor thing. You didn't even succeed killing him either.
Then I remembered a rumor I'd heard about how the gas companies go around investigating the gas installations.
A rumor? You mean...
Yes. Everybody's heard the stories, it seems, about how they go around checking the pipes.
How anything connected to the gas can be extinguished by blowing air into the pipework.
That's when it started. A little flicker of doubt in the back of my mind that just wouldn't go away. Was it really an accident, though? Once I'd had the idea, it wouldn't leave me alone. It plagued me day and night. So I bought this at one of the black markets in the East End.
A black market?
I'd never been. I just heard people talk about them. And you really can't buy anything you can think of there. In some ways, being able to get my hands on this so easily made me even more determined. I had to find out one way or another. Was Duncan's death an accident, or was it murder?
And your chosen method for establishing the truth was simple but highly effective. Smear poison on the gas pipe you suspected the man of tampering with, and wait. If Mr. Shamspeare was innocent, nothing would come of what you'd done. But if he was guilty, he would pay for his crimes dearly.
I found out the name of the man I suspected, William Shamspeare, and then I wrote him this little note. I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to this lug. Yep. Don't tell anybody. If he'd done it, I knew that would worry him enough so he'd be sure to go. So I waited to see if it worked.
And of course, Mr. Shamspeare followed the instructions to the letter.
I worked out where the gas pipe was straight away, so I smeared a good amount of the poison I'd bought all around the mouth of the pipe. All the time praying that devil's work wouldn't be done, and that it was just some wild fantasy. Actually, no. All the time praying the devil's work would be done, and the culprit would get his just deserts.
That's valid. Don't mess with the girl's fiancé. So Sato-san has a way of sympathizing. So not guilty. Not guilty. For one. Party of one, not guilty. Can we find out why Van Zeeks hates me? 3 days ago. When you first stood in the dock before me, this whole affair seemed relatively straightforward.
Yes, my lord!
I certainly never imagined the depths of depravity that we should substantiate find lurking behind the scenes. It has been a long road, my friend. Oh, yes. And I certainly didn't envisage walking with you. Nevertheless, together we have reached the light at the end of the tunnel, as it were. Miss Green.
Yes, my lord.
You will henceforth be stripped of your freedom, as punishment for the attempted murder of Mr. William Shamspeare.
Yes, I know.
And you, Mr. Shamspeare, you will be tried for the murder of Mr. Duncan Ross in cold blood, and the subsequent attempted murder of Mr. Sosky and Natsume here present.
Oh. Mr. Naruto.
Yes?
Yesterday, at the hospital, when you and your friend stopped me from
ending your life by drinking what was left in the poison bottle?
I wasn't myself. I can't even remember what was going through my mind. To be or not to be, I suppose. That's a question that's so hard to answer, it seems.
Well, personally, I'm glad of your being here, Miss Green.
Oh,
And I'd like to believe that it's a blessing Mr. Shamspeare didn't die when he ingested the poison. For your sake, at the very least.
because of you, I chose life, not death. And now you've made the truth come out at last. Really, I can't thank you enough. Oh, Miss Green!
Beautiful. Mr. Soseki Natsume.
Yes, my lord!
The court declares that you are exonerated from all blame in this matter. Accordingly, I would call upon the ladies and gentlemen of the jury to present verdict of not guilty. We are in full agreement, my lord. In that case, I hereby declare the defendant.
Woo!
Confetti! And fireworks! What does this have to do with my dead best friend? I'm confused. Court is adjourned. It's like Edgeworth all over again. I'm just like, what's going on? Although that backstory was so weird. So weird.
Oh, yes, yes, at last! Divine justice duly done!
Divine justice. My dear fellow, if there were any divine justice in this world, you would shave that mustache.
No! This has nothing to do with my mustache! Some say that a luxuriant mustache is a sign of physical prowess, Mr. Sholmes. Welcome, student Mr. Nanowrimo, Esquire! Once again, you've saved me from doom!
I'm very happy to have been able to help Mr. Natsume. Congratulations on your acquittal. Your second in almost as many days.
I was first acquainted with and gained affection for English literature whilst in our great homeland empire. And then, by a twist of fate, I was brought to the land that bore the fruit of that literature. Only, the city of bricks and mortar became my prison. Try as I might, I never found my feet here. In the end, I confined myself to my room and lived life through friendly old books. You've had such a difficult time, haven't you?
But a week ago now, I dragged you out of that dark and dingy room of yours, did I not?
You did, and I've seen more of a life in this week than all my years to date. And for the first time, I feel I've begun to see the true face of the English that's so far been hiding from me behind the wall of fog.
My dear fellow, there's nothing special about the true face of the English, as you put it. Wheresoever one goes in the world, humans are human. There are few genuine differences.
Yes, I think you're right. I finally started to see that, and I've come to understand something. I've worked out why I was attracted to English literature in the first place. It made me see that whatever our nationality, we humans all have the same hopes and fears. We're all just doing our best to live.
Well said. I've come to feel that the same way.
I've made a decision, too. I'm going to cut short my study tour here and return to Japan.
What?
Why? Why?
This isn't helping my study of English literature.
Just when we become friends here in England. What a terrible shame. Oh, I know. That does tug at my heartstrings. It really does. But I've decided I'd like to take everything I've learnt here in Britain and write something of my own. A novel of sorts, I suppose. Oh my! So you'll be creating your own literature, Mr. Natsume. How wonderful! Oh, well, no, I mean, I wouldn't presume to call it literature.
Why not? Well, that is precisely the definition, Mr. Mustache.
I suppose you're right, yes, it will, in a way, be literature. But as of now, all I know is that I'd like to try my hand at writing. I have no delusions of grandeur. I, for one, would love to read your work.
Well, all things considered, it may be for the best. After all, you have once again emerged victorious from a battle with the Reaper.
That's very true. And there is no salvation for a person in the dock when the Reaper is the prosecutor.
The desire to return post-haste to the perceived safety of your homeland is one I quite understand.
My goodness, yes! Faced with such a terrifying prospect. Nobody would consider that cowardly, I'm quite sure. But that's not why I'm leaving! I mean it! Objection!
And that was the case that we found ourselves embroiled in 6 months ago now. Sosuke-san did indeed return to Japan and submitted a report about both cases to the government. It was on reading that report that Professor Mikotoba was prompted to visit the scholar. And barely any time later, Susato-san was given the news that she must return to Japan as well, on the back of a telegram stating falsely that her father had fallen gravely ill. The only possible explanation that comes to mind is what happened after the trial on the following day, the day that we uncovered the loot hidden by the now deceased convict in his former lodgings. What did we uncover? Oh, thank goodness. I was like, please, I need to know. Okay.
Oh, well done, Mr. Sholmes. How simply marvelous of you to uncover the secret hiding place in just one day.
Wasn't it supposed to take 30 minutes? As I believe I told you, my dear fellow, skin prints are extremely useful in such situations. Wouldn't you agree, Gregson?
Grexy's been happily munched in agreement this whole time, you see, Hurley. Happily? I think perhaps humorlessly might be closer to the truth.
So, it transpires the man fashioned a hiding place in the ceiling. And what's in it? What exactly is the loot? Let us look then, if you're ready, to see the burglar's hall. What the? What is that? There's blood on it.
It looks to be some sort of neckband or collar.
A collar? It's huge, though.
And look at all the gemstones that's on it. I see why I was claimed to be worth 1,000 pounds. Perhaps I could have it as a belt. Oh, have you noticed something inside there? There's some dark stains.
You don't think they could be blood, do you? I mean, there's quite a lot of it.
On second thoughts, perhaps I won't have it as a belt. Then of course there's this emblem here. A large letter B and a small crown.
B. Oh, who starts with a B? What does it signify, do you think?
Oh, I hadn't noticed that. I feel as though I've seen that emblem somewhere before, you know. Where could it have been?
That's enough of that, I think.
Sholmes, what are you hiding?
What? What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes? All the color is drained from his face. He looks pale as ever. Well, Inspector, I believe you ought to be taking this, aren't you? It could be valuable evidence, after all. It must be kept safely under lock and key. Yes. Get your gobby hands off that, you lot. Hand it over. Now. I'd never seen a collar that large before. It's a belt. Whose belt's that? And all those jewels certainly look to be extremely valuable. But that's not what stood out most to me. At least not once I'd noticed it. Those dark marks on the inside of the collar, those stains. Could they really have been blood? Well, that was a funny case, wasn't it? But it's all buttoned up now. And you look very pleased, Iris. I am, because I started to wonder what I could use in the base of this month's story in the magazine. But this case will be perfect. It's been so fascinating. You're talking about the latest installment of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, I presume? The mystery of the knot from the mist and the mustache man of the convict's curse, perhaps? I could make it a two-part story. I mean, sure. Oh, I can't wait. A word, please, Iris. Yes, what is it, Ellie? I'm sorry, but you can't write about this case. It's out of the question. What? Why not? It's a great case. Then I shall have to insist that you limit yourself to the first of your two titles. The second must never be written. Is that clear? Yes?
And so it was that the second of Soseki-san's cases became buried in obscurity.
Soseki. I've been saying that wrong for a while. Soseki.
Now, looking back, I feel I understand.
I don't understand!
I can see why Mr. Sholmes forbade Iris from publishing the story. It would take a little longer before I saw the link between everything that had happened and would happen.
Huh?
For it wasn't until 2 months after the arrival of Susato-san's letter that events began to unfurl again.
Huh?
With an incident that took place at the very heart of the eagerly awaited Great Exhibition of London.
Oh yeah, they've been talking about that for a while. Where did I see that G? I've seen that G before. Well, that was an interesting case, wasn't it? Not my favorite, but, you know, it was interesting. And I think we're guys. Nah. G. Guys. I don't trust this title. I don't trust it one bit.